Welcome to Trial by Wine. We take a closer look at crimes that highlight how fascinating humans can be. Schmitty, Swanee and Clarkey visit crimes and run them through their jury of three, debating both sides of the case to agree an appropriate, if totally fictitious, sentence. Please be advised, Trial by Wine may include explicit or disturbing content and will include drunken rambling. Listener discretion is advised. All right, how are we?
Yes, super duper. Thanks. How about yourself?
Cracking. We're great.
Tickety boo.
Any news in the last short while?
No.
Zip.
Nor I. I had a little bite to eat and I finally got rid of the hiccups that plagued me through the entire last episode. I suppose we should introduce ourselves. I'm Schmitty.
I'm Swanee.
And I'm Clarkey. And together we are
Trial
by
Wine.
Wine.
And what are we drinking?
Wine.
Excellent. What kind? Is it Feathertop again?
We just knocked that bottle off and we haven't quite gone on to another one just yet.
Well, step up.
So still a Fiano.
act. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Just completing that one. And Swanee, I see you have about 2 sips worth of your Evian. Are you now going to top it up with what I like to
Tap
call
water.
en-sweet water? 'Cause
Is that your good tap?
it's just the closest. Yeah.
Oh.
Although where I am now, it's downstairs toilet tap. Yeah.
It's got a real ring. It's got a real ring to it.
Yeah. That's it. Oh, put that in a cocktail glass. It's not ranch water, but it's right up there.
Ranch water, exactly.
I'm still drinking the Papa Salt, and if we compare to the last show, it was about there.
Yes.
Yeah. Shall I tell you both a story?
Oh, God.
Please.
Could you?
I'm really happy to. So a friend of mine, the ex-mayor of Frankston, as it turns out, multiple times, sent me an article a couple of days ago, which was really nice and light and like cute. And in some ways, though, when you really thought about it, quite disturbing. And it made me think about the phenomenon, are you ready, of frogging.
Frogging.
And
Not
it's
ringing any
spelled with a
bells.
PH. So it's
Like fishing, but frogging. I'd heard it.
PHROGGING.
And it's not dogging,
Frogging.
because we discussed
Not dogging.
dogging, didn't we?
No. So I meant I was referring to fishing, which is PH.
fishing.
That's what I meant. Fishing, frogging.
That's
It's
true.
the same thing.
Yes.
I know what fishing is with an F, but what is frogging with a PH? What is frogging with an F?
Well, you're telling the story.
You're telling a story. You're the one who just said it's PH. I'm about to Google it.
God.
You were both like,
Oh, was that a rhetorical
well,
question? It is the act of secretly living in another person's home.
It is indeed.
Never heard of it.
Oh, we did this. We did this where somebody had their lover up in the attic.
I will get onto it. Yes, that's
Ah.
right. So maybe I'll just ditch my next paragraph
Oh
and
my
go
God.
on to.
Oh.
Do you remember Dirty Dolly? Look, I'd be lying if I said I remember this, but she basically made out that she had a
She had a lover
intellectually
upstairs, didn't
disabled.
she?
Yeah,
Lover
but she
in the
made
attic,
out that he was
yes.
like her intellectually disabled brother. Remember?
Don't remember that bit, but anyway.
Yeah, that's my special brother. You must go visit him. Anyway.
Oh, only once she got caught, though.
No. She made people go because she couldn't. I can't remember why, but she couldn't get there, so she had to get someone else to feed him. And so she was like, "Good,
God.
please, could
I
you go see
literally
my
don't remember
special
it.
brother?" Anyway, at least he had her permission to be there. Not her husband, of course, who ended up being murdered.
Yes.
But I would say he was. You're right, he's a frogger. So the article that sparked my thinking is from the dailymail.co.uk. Well, the original one was on the bbc.co, but it was boring. So I went to my best friend, Daily Mail, which always has so much more intrigue and interest. And so I'm going to talk about that story. So this is the one that came from my friend, the ex-mayor of Frankston. A burglar broke into a woman's home and hung out her washing, put her shopping away, and emptied the recycling bin.
That's not burgling.
Before leaving a creepy note.
I read that the other day.
Yeah, Damien. Well, I actually spent a lot of time on pronunciation.com today.
It's working.
Nini wants. Well, no, that's not it. Well. It's all gone in my head.
Months.
It's Wally nuts. With something like Wally nuts. Anyway, I'm going to say it how I would say it.
Don't get the paid subscription to pronunciation.com.
Nilluins is what I would say, but I don't think it's quite as nuanced as that. I think it's more like Williams. Anyway, Nunez, 36, has been jailed for 22 months for carrying out the unusual burglary in Monmouthshire, Wales, on the 16th of July.
Hang on, what did he steal? Isn't
We shall
burglary
find out.
about stealing? He put the washing out, for God's sakes.
I know,
He
right?
stole work off the poor person.
I'd be quite happy to have a burglar who does this. The victim said she was too scared to stay in her own home after she returned from work to find an intruder had moved her belongings. And I kind of get it, but when the intruder puts your washing out, puts your recycling out, does everything that you would like your husband to do, but he doesn't do, I'm happy to swap with the husband, frankly.
Because you don't have to live with him either. He just comes in and does your housework.
In and out, that's right. He also left a note saying, "Don't worry, be happy, eat up and scratch."
Oh, no.
No,
And scratch.
I don't think it's even frightening. I'm not sure what that's about. A sentencing hearing at Cardiff Crown Court on Thursday heard the bird feeders in the garden had also been refilled. And plant pots had been moved. What a fucking
Wow.
lunacy.
I must say, though, so we have a bird feeder here that we like to use to attract all the beautiful Australian birds.
Yes.
Except lately we've had some galahs popping in. They're okay. But now the odd sulphur-crested cockatoo. Beautiful
You mean the
protected
bogan
bird
bird?
that lived for
mean
70
the
years
bogan
that
bird?
we just don't like.
Because they're bogan birds. They go, rah, 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 and they strip everything off your tree.
We've got one here that goes, Stuart! Fucking Stuart!
Well,
from the tree.
that's probably, maybe you shouldn't
story.
scream Stuart fucking Stuart so much that a local native bird has learned to say Stuart fucking Stuart. That's all I'm hearing. Oh, there's a subtext here, Swanee.
Yeah.
Anyway, the point was when the sulphur-crested cockatoo comes around, we don't put any food in the bird feeder because we want them to keep going. So that's when I'd be annoyed if someone put food in the
Fed
bird
them,
feeder.
right, got it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but we were talking about Monmouthshire and Cardiff, right? So they're not going to have sulphur-crested cockatoos. They don't have anything offensive. They have probably sparrows, the odd nightingale, which probably won't eat out there.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think.
Happy
what else?
days.
Starlings. Like very, I remember once there was a program
Lovely
about
starling.
people who'd come to Australia from the UK. And I remember this one woman saying, the birds are so harsh,
They
And
are.
she's just whinging about how our birds are like rah,
not
rah,
wrong.
in the morning instead of tweet, 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 tweet.
It's so true, though, isn't it? Oh, it's funny.
Yes, we have loud, obnoxious birds, but we also have loud, obnoxious Australians. Also, in the house, a pair of shoes had been taken out of its packaging,
What?
which was then placed in the recycling bin. What a
Hang on,
fucking monster.
was it
He put
recyclable
the
plastic?
plastic goddamn packaging in the recycling bin. What a
Because if
prick.
he's put the wrong rubbish in the wrong
Was it
recycling
soft
bin,
plastics?
then there's a
Oh,
crime
I will-
right there.
Well, my husband puts the wrong recycling in the recycling bin constantly. I don't call him a monster. I just move it into the bin and I get the recycling right because I'm a good egg. Prosecco Alice Sykes said a meal had been cooked on the stove using items from her cupboard, i.e. the victims.
Was it for her or for that?
For himself, I think.
Had they cooked her dinner? Oh, okay.
Oh, he
Sorry.
Cooked
He's not
himself
that good.
dinner. But he didn't cook himself like a 3-course meal. But anyway, shopping had been taken from a bag and placed in the fridge, which was then
Oh, there's the
rearranged. He tidied up the fridge. And then the recycling bin had been emptied. This man is a monster.
That is terrifying. My God, you've come in here to clean my house.
I'm still waiting
People
for
pay
the crime,
$30
right?
an hour for that shit.
I am still waiting for the crime. In the UK, probably at this point in time, £45.
He didn't send her an invoice later that was like £90 and therefore
No, he
that
just
was
said,
the crime.
be happy and scratch and shit.
And stop and scratch. Yeah,
Scratch.
God.
And
I
shit.
get it, but it's good advice.
Kitchen utensils were placed in the bin, probably because they were shit, and new ones from the shopping had been laid out, i.e. she had gone out and bought new kitchen utensils, so
I
he'd
thought
very helpfully taken the old ones out of the drawer, put them in the bin,
God.
thinking,
How long was he in there for? I did about a bit of time there.
few hours. Toothbrush heads had also been replaced on the toothbrushes, and the floor had been cleaned with a mop and bucket, which was left out. What a
This
liberty.
bloke's a
I'd like to
saint.
know. I'd be interested to know how
Right.
dirty she was.
Far
Or she
out.
was or wasn't. Maybe she wasn't. But it'd be interesting to see if she was a bit of a fraud.
I don't think
You
she was a
spent years
hoarder.
getting a house that dirty.
I'm not going to say she was a hoarder because he could work this all out, right? So within, I'm guessing, some hours.
Yeah.
The victim saw a bottle of red wine had been left out next to a glass and a bottle opener, and there was a bowl of sweets on the living table. This man needs to be put on a gallows. This man
He's
is
a
a
little bit-
monster.
He's a bit inconsistent. Why didn't he put that in the recycling when he'd finished it? Do you know what I mean? Like,
No,
the
he
fact that
didn't
he's left
drink it. He didn't drink it.
Yeah.
He left it out for her.
Oh, okay, that's
What?
nice. I didn't misunderstood that.
I'm not usually a fan of the death penalty, but
I read this story and I thought, I am not quite clear where if someone broke into my house, cleaned my house, put a bottle of wine out for me, put a nice cheery note, fed the birds, and did everything that I would like my husband to do, but does not, I would not be calling the police, is all I'm going to say.
I mean, if someone breaking into your house is being violated, it's very, very mild violation, isn't it?
I don't feel it's my violation. I feel it's helpful.
Right? People pay money for this.
It didn't shit on
Right,
her
they do.
bed or anything, right? So she then spoke to her neighbour, who described seeing someone hanging out a washing. Again, something that gets really irritating for me.
Gosh. Why didn't they call the cops?
The person I married
Someone's
does
helping
not
you
do
out.
that. Yeah, that's right. A second,
Honestly, if my husband was to hang out the washing here, it'd be a first, so they probably would call the cops because they'd think it was a stranger in their yard. Definitely something
helpful
amiss.
stranger that you should
Something-
encourage.
Nothing
Don't
that's
call
ever,
the
ever,
cops.
ever, never happened
Encourage.
once. Yeah.
I want to hang out with Damien Wolsenak or whatever his name is. Wolsenak. A second burglary took place at a different property on the 29th of July, a day after my birthday, where the
That's horrific.
homeowner... No.
Same MO?
No, the homeowner...
We're not going to jump to Murderpedia at this point, please.
There's no murder in this. Not in this story, but I've got
No.
another one to follow it up. The homeowner received a CCTV alert on his phone which showed Wolninowitz it's not
The
that,
same
anyway,
guy.
that man walking on his driveway. Ooh, he's walking on his driveway. Ooh, scary. He went on to use the shower in a summer house to wash and clean his clothes. Food and drink had also been consumed, and
A shower to wash and clean his clothes.
And this is but this is where
Is there not a washing machine?
now listen to this.
He sounds like
next
he's in
bit.
an outhouse if there's some house.
There's a crime right there.
No, he's just washing his clothes, right? But then what
Crime
happened
in
was
the wrong appliance.
he then went and consumed food and drink, whatevs, and then he used the hot tub, which apparently had been
different
left
MO.
dirty. And I've got to tell you, this guy does not leave anything dirty. So I'm sorry that the second person, I'm going to call this, the second person who was burgled had a filthy spa tub, and this man happened to use it, but I don't think he was guilty of leaving it dirty. I think, given that he showered before he had the goddamn spa, the people who owned the spa were filthy dogs and should stop complaining to the police, right?
Jeez, that escalated quickly. All I was thinking is that if he was going to break into my house, I hope he did it like in the vein of the first break-in, not the second one. Because
But I don't think he really did anything other than
where's the
take
washing hung out and the
Well, it's just
wine and the
maybe you
snacks?
put it in a dryer. Maybe he owes you some money for electricity or whatever. But he's certainly not going and shitting in your bed. He's not masturbating anywhere. He's just
Wiping
doing
Betty
stuff.
Crocker down the hallway.
Correct, right? We've seen worse. So the victim, and I use that term loosely.
The victim.
The man whose house this lovely, clean person was in.
Whose bath was clean.
asked his son-in-law to attend the property, and the defendant, otherwise known as poor old Damien, appeared to be drunk and was holding a glass. He was asked to leave, and then he did. But the burglar, i.e. Damien, was later arrested. His DNA was found on fingerprints from the first property that he burgled. When I say burgled, I mean cleaned up and fed the animals and sorted her shit out. In a victim personal statement, the first victim said, 2 weeks after the crime, until he was caught, I was living in a state of heightened anxiety I had never experienced before. I've got to say, I'd be like, please come clean my house. Please do my washing. Please do everything that the man who lives here doesn't do. But this woman felt like she wondered if it was someone who knew me, knew you were a dirty scrounger and needed someone to clean up
Dirty bastard.
Get tied up for you. She knew that he knows me. He knows me too well. He's had to come in and clean up my filthy house.
Someone who knows me.
I've been profiled as a filthy person.
I'm a hoarder. That's right.
Yeah.
If it was going to turn into a stalking incident, unlikely, you dirty skank. And if he knew I lived alone and if I had been targeted, no, you're not that lucky.
You're just
Anyway,
dirty.
and anyone who
Crimes
wants
of
to complain can put the subject matter Clarky, that's a subject, and then trial1 at gmail.com.
Housekeeping horrors.
She goes on to say, I was too scared to stay in my own home and stayed with a friend. Look, I can kind of understand the fear of someone who's intruding on your space, right? I do get that.
I was too scared to do a load of washing for fear and leave it in the house for fear that someone might come and hang it out for me.
Do you know what it reminds me of?
No one should be subjected to that.
I suspect it's in Victoria and New South Wales, but there's a cleaning company here called Housework Heroes. I feel like he's a housework hero.
we don't. I haven't seen that, but I can. Yeah, I can absolutely.
I think, and I'm like, oh god, that's what I do. Housework hero. Yeah, maybe.
It's like you say tomato, I say tomato. You say burglar, I say
I'm just
housework hero.
I'm too fearful to. Oh, I'm so scared. He's going to come back and continue to clean this filthy house up. Oh.
She says, I was too scared to in my own home and stayed with a friend. When I returned home, I was accompanied by my daughter as I was too scared to go alone. My 2 daughters came the next day to check on me and provide reassurance. The court heard...
You're right.
Yeah, I'm still carrying on. The court heard the first victim was planning to move address and was hyper-conscious about security. The second victim
from
said...
the files of some people have real issues, let's talk about this story. God.
The second one is I'm sick, horrified, and useless. Well, you are useless, I'll give you that. When they became aware of the burglary. So
Goldilocks was more violated by...
100%.
No, Goldilocks
right?
was the violator.
Sorry, I was going to say, she was a burglar.
She was way worse.
She didn't clean up any shit. She broke shit. She was a vandal.
She spoiled porridge, tasting it with a dirty COVID spoon mouth.
She's a little bitch. However, this bloke, whose name I can't pronounce, who was homeless, of course, later pleaded guilty on 2 counts of burglary. The court heard that he has 4 previous convictions for offences including common assault, not good, public order offences and failing to surrender.
But common.
In mitigation, Tabitha Walker said her client was homeless at the time, and I'm telling you, I'd be all right with a clean homeless person who wants to do all my jobs. I mean, literally, contact us at trialby1.gmail.com. I may have a room for you.
Yeah.
So Tabitha Walker said her client was homeless at the time of the offences and was undergoing a number of difficulties. I bet the poor bastard was.
Cleaning wasn't one of them, though.
No, being a nice person wasn't one of them. She said the defendant was apologetic to the victims and for the harm he had caused to them. What a nice guy. Sentencing recorder Christian Jowett.
What harm has he caused to them? How's he breaking into their house?
I think he ate someone's sausages.
Walking in the door because they're too lazy to... I ate someone's sausage. Is this a Sada Abe story?
He ate food and got water from the tap and he ate some goddamn basil. And they're like, oh, he ate our food. He drank our drink. You arseheads.
Gosh,
Anyway.
that's what the world's got to. You arseheads.
Imagine if you were homeless. I don't like basil.
Exactly right.
Basil upsets me.
Exactly. Imagine
Oh,
if
really?
you're
I
homeless.
love
I can't get-
basil.
No, I can't. I can't work with it. And I'm not
I
suggesting
can't
with some
work with-
mozzarella and tomato. Give him a caprese, but I mean, yeah.
Oh,
Someone
hold
get
the
and
basil.
tuck it into your basil plant. I'll be like, oh no, you're good. You're good.
No one. I mean, no one said he ate their basil, but no one said he ate their.
Oh, you said that. Sorry.
No one said that he ate their truffles. No one said he ate their top-notch, best of everything. He just helped himself to some food because he was a homeless person starving. Have some compassion, people. And he put your washing out. I mean, fair's fair. It's a fair barter system.
And basil. Like, I'm
I made
so
that
hungry.
up.
Can I have a couple
She
of
made
leaves of basil?
I made it up.
Also,
Sorry, I kind of got
I can't
fixated
tell
on
where the real
basil.
story ends and the false stuff begins. It's so
I
ridiculous.
made the basil up. I made the basil up.
Like, we might
Maybe
have
it was
this episode
dill.
fact checked.
Maybe it was sage and dill. I don't know.
Did you
Anyway.
make the burglary up too? It just sounds like someone's invited their best mate over. Like,
So, anyway, Tabitha Walker said the defendant was apologetic. This was a significant intrusion in their homes. Well, maybe they should clean them up themselves. He sentenced to 22 months of imprisonment at Cardiff Crown Court.
22 months of imprisonment.
Well, I went on to say at least he'll get some regular food and a roof over his head, as I do feel that's really all he was looking for, you pricks. And yes, it's an intrusion, but maybe if we did more to help homeless people, they wouldn't feel the need to enter your house and do your laundry for you. That's one story about a version of frogging.
Gosh, I don't understand.
I'm still filthy about that basil.
I made it up.
I know.
I was editorializing.
Oh, the liberty. And
Yeah.
you're the crime here. Oh, my God.
Oh, the humanity. Eating someone's basil.
What a liberty. Let's move on. Sometimes frogging, however, as hilarious as the last story was, and stalking can be confused. But frogging, as I described and Carla told us, was people living in your house without your permission or your understanding.
This is that Alanis Morissette song, isn't it?
Is that
Hidden
while
One.
you're in the house too, Schmitty?
Not always.
Squatting.
No, not always. No. You don't always
Okay.
have to be in the house, but someone has
Okay.
taken up residence in your house without your permission nor your knowledge, and they're not necessarily living in the normal living areas. They could be living in your attic, they could be living in your crawl space, they could be living in your downstairs area. That's not a euphemism. They could be living
Jesus.
anywhere. Well, we have a Tony calls this workshop, but it's I suppose you call it a crawl space under the house. You know, like
Yeah.
the house
Yeah.
is split level. And I've
What
often
sort of work
thought
does he do there?
there's
I bet you she's the one who's down there using it with all the fucking
At 3:00 in the morning.
morning, hacksaw and
no, he's put his tools down there. We have a garage as well, which he could use, but Tony's Tony. He doesn't remember what he has. It's everywhere. Anyway, we've got multiple spaces in our house that technically someone could live in. Not comfortably, but if they wanted to sneak in there, they could. But also, people can absolutely be stalking you and they can be frogging. Famous people who've been frogged include George Michael. Who would ever forget the woman who took up residence under his floorboard for 4 days and scared the shit out of him saying his name whilst he was in the middle of a chat with a mate?
lucky that's all he was in the middle of.
I
Oh,
know.
Jesus.
I do love George.
J-Lo.
I miss you, George.
Yeah, and apparently I heard on another person talking about this that after this poor person, whose name I can't remember now, but it was something, Novak, one of those, Lucy
Novak.
Nowak was the person who did this, possibly struggling with some mental health issues. He advocated for
Hard to
her
believe.
at court and said, don't put her in jail, just send her for some treatment. So
No whack jobs.
you can love George even more because he was a real good guy who had the shit scared out of him by some rando who also apparently I can't remember, but she was under his floorboards, but she'd also broken into his house, hacked his email, got his email account, was emailing him pretending to be someone else. May or may not, I can't remember, have spent some time in his bed. J-Lo, though her frogger was in the pool house and she wasn't there at the time, Brad Pitt, his frogger put Brad's clothes on and lay in his bed. And Pamela Anderson also, her frogger also put her clothes on and lay in her bed. And yes, the clothes were the red bathing suit from Baywatch.
Did they
And
fill the
apparently-
tits out?
Don't know, but apparently the police were like, "Do you want this back?" She's like, "No, I'm good, thanks. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah. No, all good."
It's a hard no from me, thanks.
She'd had some like shit going on in her family, and she had the kids there or whatever. So it's all shits and giggles, but it's actually can be quite traumatic for the people who are the victims, but not the victims.
Is it stalking taken to another
No, you're moving
level?
you're in their house.
Because you live in the house. Okay.
I mean, it's a total other level, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Because
That's the
one might look out the window and think, "Am I being stalked? Is someone out there looking at me?" As opposed to, is there someone in a crawl space under my house, or in my attic, or in my walls, or in my whatever space of the house is there? I mean, that's.
Do you remember that
quite
Alanis
different.
Morissette song on Jagged Little Pill where?
I do.
Oh, creepy!
I don't. What?
Oh,
It was
she
in the.
sings-
It's at the end. It's like a bonus track, and she's singing basically about sneaking into someone's house, an ex-boyfriend.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, come on, Clarky, give me a few strains. I'll pick it up.
I said, hello, love. I love you so, love. Meet me at midnight. But no, it wasn't my writing. Remember, she goes, I walked up the stairs. I went to your room where I smelled your sheets. I found your cologne. I lay in your bed. Oh,
It's
God.
my writing.
It wasn't my writing. Yeah.
That's
I better
it, yeah.
go soon.
Soon.
Wasn't my writing.
Would you forgive me, love?
My love, if I dance in your
dance
shower.
Would you forgive me,
Would you forgive
love?
me?
If I lay in
If I
your
lay in
bed.
bed.
Would you forgive me, love?
If I stay all afternoon.
Yeah. Frogging. Absolutely. Early frogger.
God.
Alanis Morissette, early frogger.
People
/
did call her
stalker.
crazy, and that was the song where she let her crazy all hang out, I think.
Quite right. Okay, so let's move into more crazy frogging. So whilst it all sounds like shits and giggles, frogging is pretty creepy and sometimes has appalling consequences. And so I'm just giving you the early
Like
trigger
getting your
warning.
washing hung out.
Early trigger warning on this.
This
next
is we're not going to
story.
laugh anymore, are we?
No, there's no funds now. The sources for my next
Okay,
story
bye.
are Wikipedia, LA Times, Unilad, Vocal Media, Oxygen.com, allthat'sinteresting.com, and Medium.com. This is actually pretty famous case. I was going to say common, but that's not true. Very famous case. You can't look at frogging without this one coming up. Daniel J. LaPlant, no relation to Linda LaPlant, was born on the 15th of May, 1970, in Townsend, Massachusetts. Now, he grew up with his mum, stepdad, and 2 brothers, though by his account, his childhood wasn't great, with him being sexually and psychologically abused by his stepdad and later a psychiatrist that he was sent to, which is according to Daniel himself. He was a bit of an outcast at school. Kids thought he was a bit creepy and weird, and he was also a bit stinky. So you can imagine that he was most likely bullied pretty harshly. When he was 16, he formed a bit of a crush on a girl called Tina Bowen, and he asked her out. She wasn't that into him, and after she was told he had possibly a rape charge against him, and her father forbade her from seeing him, she dumped him. Sensible girl.
Good job, Tina.
Also, Tina very sadly had lost her mother to cancer and had other things to worry about than dating the weird smelly kid who may or may not have been a rapist. Tina and her sister Karen, both missing their mother a lot, they were both teenagers at this time, decided to whip out the Ouija board and do a seance, which is something I do not recommend. Even if it doesn't actually conjure a ghost, it certainly fucks with your psychology. They did this in the winter of 1986, and not long afterwards, weird things start to happen in the house. Now, Swanee, as someone who has experienced ghosts with me, what would you think is a weird thing to happen in a house that's haunted?
footsteps.
What was your experience? Just going all quiet, like footsteps.
I can't remember. It was
absolutely,
just terrifying. Yeah, someone walking, door opening.
It was footsteps. It was footsteps
Yeah.
and door opening, and I was so used to it by then. And then a little leg came out and kicked me in the bed to check I was there, and I was like, I liked the fact that neither of us said anything. Anyway, so some of these were similar to what you might experience in a haunted house. As someone who has lived in the 2 houses that were occupied by someone in the other realm, I can attest to things like keys being put somewhere else other than where you left them, TV channel being changed. And by the way, that's what these girls experienced. And it was 1986. So remember the old manual TV where you had to get up and change the dial or press a button? So it's not like you just...
We weren't watching Channel 2.
Well, exactly, right? All of this stuff sort of happening, but I would call that relatively low-level haunting in inverted commas.
Yep. Certainly entry level.
Correct.
Dead froggers.
Not like you, Swanee,
No,
who had scary, nasty stuff and then a stink to deal with. You remember the fart?
I forgot about that. Where was that one?
Remember the fart.
Was it the same place? How come I don't have a memory?
Next morning we were talking about it and you were like...
You remember all those things for me. Thank you.
What's that smell? I'm like, it wasn't me. And then we went to see a medium literally that afternoon and said, your grandmother thought it was hilarious, Swanee, to drop a fart at you. And there was no way they would have known about that, right? It was all weird. It was just very weird. The point I was trying to make was some of the things that happened in this house were not what you would experience in 14A Froome Road at Radstock.
Is this Richard's house or is it Tina's house?
It's Tina's house.
It is Tina's house. Yep, just check. Right, got.
Who's Richard?
LaPlant, is it?
Daniel.
Daniel.
Who the fuck is Richard? Okay, good. I'm like, I know I'm a bit pissed, but come on.
Oh, that's so good. Sorry, Dan. All right.
Daniel. Okay. When I lived in this haunted house and you experienced this, Swanee, we never had messages like marry me or come find me scrawled in condiments on the counter and the walls, right?
Mm.
And this did, however, happen to poor old Karen and Tina. One time they came home to find that the toilet had been used, although how they determined that is not recorded, though perhaps they found a phantom piss or a poo in the loo. I'm not quite sure how they knew it had been used. Oh, it was still running. Maybe put it that way.
The toilet seat was up.
Well, somehow they knew it had been used, and I did find that amusing. Anyway, they were freaked out enough to tell their father, Frank, who thought they were being hysterical teenage girls. Still, he decided to check it out and was pretty shocked when he went up into a room to find 17-year-old Daniel in a wardrobe in the house.
Come on.
More terrifying, Daniel was wearing a ninja mask and some kind of Native American jacket.
Oh.
And he'd painted his face.
Cross-cultural.
Yeah, he's appropriating, right?
Cultural appropriation.
Yeah,
absolutely.
that's right. And he was, that's shocking enough. And he was...
That's the real crime here.
He painted his face white and he was brandishing a wrench and a hatchet in either hands.
Oh.
Jesus.
So it turned out that Daniel hadn't taken very well to the breakup. You know, he's a stinky, weird kid.
Yeah.
And had become obsessed with Tina. Finding a good way to keep tabs on her was basically live in her house, unbeknownst to anyone else, for weeks.
Where are his parents?
Well, I think he went home and then he came back because
right.
I think she lives relatively local to him.
Okay, yeah, okay.
And then he left these weird messages around. I've got to say though, Swanee, you know, don't you agree that this is, in my experience, the quickest way to get a girl to love you?
You'll get her attention, I'm sure.
Frog the fuck out of her.
I'm going to frog you. Yeah. The second quickest way to get a girl to love you is to take the girl you have fancy, her sister and father, hostage once you've been caught.
Oh.
And that's what Daniel did.
I much prefer the froggers who hang you washing out.
Oh, me too, right? So he made them all go into a bedroom and then he locked them in there and then he sort of disappeared. And Tina, being spunky as, decided that this is a good opportunity to climb out a window and run and get help. So she ran to her neighbours and called 911. The police showed up, but as one might expect, I couldn't find anyone.
Oh, God.
So a couple of days later, literally a couple of days later, Frank, the dad, because they were so freaked out by this whole scenario that they went to a hotel. They were like, I'm not staying there in the house of frogging. We need to leave.
The house of frogging.
That's right. So they went to a hotel. And Frank, the dad, who I'm not sure if he lived with them because the way you read it, it's like he didn't believe it. Like, it's like he wasn't around much. Anyway, he went to the house to pick up some belongings. And when he was approaching the house, he looked up and guess what he saw in a bedroom window looking out onto the street?
A frog.
Daniel LaPlant.
Daniel LaPlant, that's right.
Oh, damn it.
So, unsurprisingly, he rang the police and he got them round and they searched the house again. Okay, I've got a sound bite that I'm going to play. I've racked this up early. I'm so prepared. So, the next bit is a quote from oxygen.com. And this is from the policeman who went to the house. Are you ready for it?
Yep.
When I opened the door, on the right-hand wall, I saw a knife sticking out of the wall. And I see it's through a picture, a family picture, written on it in magic marker, I'm still here. Come and find me. Now, the hair goes up on the back of my neck. And this is the attending officer, Bezenson. On the other wall.
Sorry?
Pronunciation.com.
Bezenson. Bezenson, right? The attending officer, Bezenson, said, on the other wall, I saw another picture saying, I'm going to kill you all with a knife through it.
Oh.
What?
I know. Chief David Young and Sergeant Jim Scott joined the search of the house moments later, at which point they determined LaPlant, our mate Daniel, was, and this is all, I'm quoting all this from Oxygen, was hiding behind a wall in the bathroom. Bezenson recalled, I pulled my pistol and said, I got the son of a bitch right here. I got the son of a bitch right here. But he didn't move. I told him, let me see your hands or I'll splatter your brains all over that wall. And that is the end of the quote. And this is where I'm bringing in a soundbite. Very Clint Eastwood, or those of you who are old enough to know John Wayne in True Grit, and for those of you who may not be familiar with the Duke in his role of Rooster Cogburn, I'm now going to play you this. Get ready for
Rooster
it.
Cockburn.
Cogburn.
I mean to kill you in 1 minute, Ned, or see you hanged in Fort Smith at Judge Parker's convenience. Which will it be?
In this moment, he's looking horrified.
I call that bold talk for a one-eyed fat man.
Fill your hand, you son of a bitch!
So, in case you're unaware, in the moment where he says you're a one-eyed fat man, there is a second where Rooster Cogburn in the film, Swanee goes like this. Like, what a fucking liberty! He swings
How very
back.
dare you.
How very dare you! And then he goes, fill your hand, you son of a bitch! Great quote. Anywho, even though Daniel was remanded to juvie because he got arrested at that point, his mum, in her wisdom, remortgaged her house to raise $10,000 US to get a bond to get him out of jail in 1987. Somewhat tragically, however, Daniel did not turn away from a life of crime. Instead,
Well, there's been a real shift in your voice then to something far more.
it gets sad.
melancholy.
It gets sad
Oh.
now. Yeah, it does. It does.
Some more crime related is going to happen.
Some more violence and horror and murder is going to happen. Yeah.
Oh God.
Oh,
Instead,
gosh.
he stole 2 guns from a neighbour, which I didn't go into. And a month later, he robbed his next-door neighbours, Priscilla and Andrew Gustafsson. I should have
should-
practiced.
You should cancel
say-
your subscription to pronunciation.com. It's
I was going
just
to
not
say you're going to get your
working.
money back.
Priscilla and Andrew Gustafsson. And their 2 kids.
Their names are like Alan and Sue, and she's struggling with the pronunciation.
Oh, not.
Suey.
Hang on. Sue.
This is why we tried to do video, right? Because I'm smiling away, knowing what's going to happen.
Oh,
Priscilla and Andrew Gustafsson and their 2 kids, 5-year-old William, and 7-year-old Abigail. And this is on the 16th of November, 1987. And I don't think when this first burglary happened that any of the family were home, thankfully. 2 weeks later, on the 1st of December, 1987, old dickhead Dan returns to the house of the Gustafsons, having one of the
And they were his neighbours, is that correct?
They were very close in the neighbourhood, but he'd already stolen
Okay.
2 .22 caliber guns from another neighbour.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. So having one of the stolen guns, which was a 22 caliber gun, he went to the Gustafsons. Yeah.
No, but did the weapons that had been stolen, had that happened and then people thought it was him that had done it?
No.
And he was on the
His
lounge?
brothers knew and a friend of the family knew, but no one said anything.
Right, okay, thank you.
Very sadly, he returned to the house 2 weeks later of the Gustafsons, having one of the .22 caliber guns that he'd stolen. When Priscilla and William, the 5-year-old, came home, he didn't run off or run away going, "Oh, I've been caught." He confronted her at the door, threatening her with a gun. He then made Priscilla and William go into a bedroom where he locked William in the closet. He then tied Priscilla to the bed, gagged her, raped her, and shot her twice in the head, killing her. And at the time, Priscilla, age 33, was pregnant with her 3rd child.
Jesus.
And if that wasn't bad enough, I had now better give you a trigger warning about the children. The next bit is exceptionally awful and involves the 2 kids. Daniel took little William into a bathroom and drowned him in a bath.
What?
5 years old, right? He then heard the front door, which was Abigail, coming back from school. So he lured her into a different bathroom and he drowned her also. And I read that she had blunt force trauma and strangulation as well. So it sounds like she fought back. She was 7. She was a little bit older. After killing 3 people, the child, well, actually 4, the unborn child, the mother, and the 2 other kids, he went home for his niece's birthday, like the total psychopath that he is. Later that day, Andrew, Priscilla's husband, tried to call Priscilla because he was doing really well in real estate and he'd landed a big deal. He was really excited, and he rang Priscilla to say, "Can you get a babysitter? Let's go out tonight. Let's celebrate. You know, I've made shit tons of money." But when he got no answer, he drove to their home and he saw Priscilla's car in the drive. The house was eerily dark. He went into the house and he found his wife shot to death in his bedroom. Now, he says he doesn't remember much after that. The shock and the trauma was obviously massive, but he went to the kitchen to call the police and his parents.
So he hadn't been to the bathroom?
He said to the police that he was too scared to look for the kids because he thought he might find them dead and he couldn't face it. And as it turns out, he was right. That's right. Yep. So the police pretty much suspected Daniel immediately. He was on bond.
Handy.
Wow.
Yeah, well,
That's shit.
He was on bond waiting trial for a home invasion, and he'd been done for burglary before. And he was like probably
Stalking the house.
the naughtiest resident in the village, right?
He'd been frogging in the same house.
He'd been frogging in someone's house, and he kind of, not quite the same, but one might say he had priors. So they didn't unfortunately have much evidence, though. So they went to his home to interview him a couple of days afterwards, and he took off, which might say, "You're a bit guilty, aren't you, you dick face?" What did I say earlier?
Asshead.
Asshead. You're an asshead. That's right. So he takes off, and they create this massive manhunt for him, and because
Frogger hunt.
a frog hunt, he'd fled on foot. But then he went to someone's house, and if I get this right, I think he went to 2 people's house. He went to one person's house, tried to hassle them. Yeah, anyway, he eventually gets into a van with one woman who was still, I think the owner, she's still in it, and she jumped out of the moving vehicle, which is quite brave. And then he's spotted later by another policeman who pulls him over. And then he did a runner into a lumber yard, eventually hiding in a dumpster bin. And at that point, he had completely narrowed his escape route, and the police arrested him.
Well, that's good.
I mean, It's the least they could do. He was tried and found guilty and received 3 life sentences for the murders that he had perpetrated.
That's good. Concurrent or
I'm going to say no because I'm going to talk about this next bit. In 2017, so 30 years after he had been tried
right.
and put in jail, there was a resentencing hearing where he asked for a reduction in his term. There'd been some changes in the law which seemed to give him some hope that he could use them to get a lesser term or even get released, right? Mostly about juveniles who had been sentenced to life being given an opportunity to re-enter society. You know, because a 17-year-old psychopath is way better than an 18-year-old psychopath.
10-year-old psychopath.
yeah, that's fair.
No, not having it. Anyway, Daniel apologized to everyone
Oh, well.
involved. Yeah, I know. That's okay then. And he asked
My
for a second
mistake.
chance. Yeah. Whoopsies. I was very young at the time. Anyway.
Let me think. No.
You think? That's my words, not his. I murdered 3 innocent people. Check. Because of me, a 5-year-old boy will never turn 6. Or 7, or 8, or 9, or 10, or 50, or 60, or fuck you. Anyway, that's me again. There's a 7-year-old girl that will never turn 8, or 9, or 10, or any other age monster. Because of me, a woman will never be able to give birth to her 3rd child who may have grown up to have saved humanity.
Find a cure for cancer.
Correct. I robbed an unborn child of its first breath. A husband was never able to again hear from his family, I love you. I do not have the words to fully express my profound sorrow, but I'm truly sorry for the harm I've caused. From the very essence of who I am, which is not much in my opinion, from the depth of my soul, I am sorry. It just pisses me right off.
Let's talk when you've done your time, mate.
Yeah. Well, regardless of whether he thought he was very sorry, psychiatrist Fabian Salar said he showed no empathy and continued to minimize his behaviors. None of his victims' families wanted any leniency, and the judge sentenced him to 45 years in prison. This is in 2017, where he's already served 30. So it's 75, basically. Then another law changed in 2019, and he had another go at getting released. And again, the Supreme Judicial Court said, no way, and upheld the previous judge's ruling. So that's the 45 years. So Daniel stays in jail where he belongs and hopefully dies there. Thoughts?
Tell you what, Tina did pretty well.
Tina and Karen and Frank... Although Tina and Frank, when he first went to jail, was up for prison, Frank said, if he is not put in prison, I will kill him myself. This is Tina and Karen's dad. Because I don't know the full story, but he said he's lost so much money, probably because he can't sell the house that someone had loitered around in and had become infamous. He said, like, financially, the trauma it created in the family, the terror.
Oh, God, that's awful.
Yeah.
Did he ever give a reason as to why he did it? Like why he murdered Priscilla and the children?
He didn't.
On that day at the time? No.
He didn't, but I will tell you that, and I left this...
What will you tell me?
I will tell you. I left this a bit out, but when they searched the house, there was evidence of pornography that he'd cut out of magazines and stuff.
Yeah.
And I would hazard a guess that when they talk about, because I looked at the court papers, they talked about that there were these ligatures. I don't think it was like he found her and she sprung him. I think it was premeditated. I think he had become a sexual predator, and it was very much like, because why would you go from just terrifying some people and being a bit like, ooh, titillation, to raping and killing a woman?
And then the kids, yeah.
I think this man's a monster and he should stay in jail forever.
Not from me. No argument there.
No, nor I.
I don't think you break into someone's house and do what he did because
escalating crime. It was escalating, right?
Yeah. Like there are times where you might go, this person has done so much wrong by somebody that you break into their house and kill them. But
The people next
this
door
is
hadn't
not what
done
happened
anything.
here.
The kids hadn't done no.
Yeah. Like, just
They were not the perpetrators of your trauma.
correct.
Like, I'm sorry, if you're going to kill someone, if you're going to act out your anger, act it out on the person who did it to you.
And also, 30 years into your 3-year life sentence, an apology isn't good enough to get you off. Back you go.
Say that again. Oh, 3
30
lives.
years,
Yeah,
30 years into your 3 life sentences.
Well, it would have felt like life. By that time, it would have felt like life.
But the apology is so empty. Like,
Came so late.
you know,
Came so late.
come
Yeah,
on.
came so long. Yeah.
I don't know what would get you off that.
Andrew, the husband of Priscilla, who was awfully murdered and the kids, remarried a few years later.
Who the dad did?
Yeah. Carol, who was his wife, her husband had died from an aneurysm or something. So they were both people who had lost their partners. They were both
Yep.
widows. Carol said he died in 2014. Carol said that he woke with nightmares about what had happened to his family. He never got over it. And he tried to move on. He even lived in that house for a while afterwards to try and get past the trauma of it all. And I
God.
think they had a really good marriage and I think they had a really good life together, but it wasn't unscarred. And sorry's not enough. I'm sorry, but sorry is not enough when that man, you destroyed the lives of so many people on the day you decided. And it's so awful. It's so awful. Those poor little kids, they were just 5 and 7.
Sometimes there are people that you might go because of what happened. You know, there's some
Absolutely
way
right.
of justifying your crime.
Eileen Warnos. I felt sorry for her. I don't feel sorry for this guy.
Mm. Yeah, it's an interesting one too because, like you say, with her, she went out and committed crimes against people who did similar,
Who was
similar.
seeking sex from her in illicit fashions.
Well, I think who had also done or were in a similar position to people who'd done the wrong thing by her. So, you know, it's like, well, if I can't get that person, I'll get this one because they might end up being that person who wronged me. Does that make sense? Like, if there's...
And even if you wanted to rape a person, why kill their kids?
100%. But also, what this is the next door neighbor, for God's sakes. You know, what's the
Very close. I don't know if they were like straight
next
up,
door?
but they
Okay,
were
well, just a
very
close
much in the
neighbor.
neighborhood. It was disgusting.
What's the motivation? Like, doesn't seem like there's
It's
she's
escalating
wronged
violence.
anything.
She didn't do anything wrong.
But
yeah,
correct. So it's completely innocent, killing the mother, the unborn baby, and the 2 kids.
True.
Oh, it's horrible. I'm sorry to have brought this to the table, but you know, that's what we do.
Here we are. Sorry for leading us on by telling us a funny story to...
I know. I feel like you took us
us
here,
in.
and then now we're down here.
Yeah.
Sorry
It's a
about
roller
that.
coaster.
I did think about ending with a funny story, but then I thought,
No,
no.
I think-
Yeah, no,
I
you
thought,
don't want...
no.
I think
don't know.
sometimes the sentence is okay. 3 life sentences and his 30 years, you know, that they're still going,
what
no, that's
state are
not
they in,
enough.
Schmitty? I couldn't.
Massachusetts.
They are. Do they not have the death penalty? They didn't have the death penalty there, right? No, I think he's got what he needs. He
Yeah,
just needs to
I
be kept away. I don't think he should be.
credit to them for not letting him out early.
I don't. To be able to turn around 30 years later and say, oh, oops, I'm sorry, I did terrible things. And, 30 years later, I'm really sorry for them. And the psychiatrist who did the evaluation said, no, he's not. He's still minimizing what he did, which, when we talk about minimizing what people do, it's about, this happened and that happened and it's not my fault. I was, fuck off, mate. By the time you are doing this, you are 50-something. I think I'm going to stake him out on an anthill in the sun and go the old-fashioned way of, just making him suffer and suffer and suffer. Not necessarily kill him, but, put him on an anthill with sunburn and let the ants have their way and then take him away for a bit, let him recover enough and then put him back out there. We have covered some pretty gruesome shit in the past, but this guy is just So wrong. Swanee,
Psycho.
Google his photos from when he was
I
a
have.
young person to
have.
now. Have you seen
I
his
haven't seen
recent-
now, no. I
Look now. And he looks like something out of some horror. He looks like the man out of that 70s show, the dad in that 70s show. It's like, it's just awful. Sorry to the actor who played
I
the
was gonna
man
say.
in that 70s show, but it's just, everything about him is like this. I just don't feel like there's any. I don't feel like he gives a shit. He just wants out. And I don't know what he would do if he got out again.
I was wondering about, so when he stole the van and the lady jumped out of the moving vehicle fearful for her life, I thought maybe
Yeah.
I missed that.
maybe next time he goes to jump into a van, maybe it's going to be James Gum in there who cracks him over the head with his plastered arm and takes him back to his room or his house
Yeah.
and puts him in the pit and tells him to rub the lotion on his skin or else it gets the hose again.
Yeah, let all the crazies
And maybe that can be his
be together
existence.
away from everybody else and
Yeah.
And maybe
dole
he'd be
out their
grateful if
own
he did get
justice
made
to one
into
another.
a bodysuit.
What's the quote?
It puts the lotion on its skin or else it gets the hose again.
Yeah, okay. But Jane, the Jane Gum in your story needs to, in my opinion, fatten it up and then punish it for being fat. Sorry, fatten him up and then punish him for being fat.
Yeah, that's fair too. And stinky. Maybe that's why he gets the hose.
Swanee?
I don't really know what I can add. I think that you can't get past it for the dad. I just think, oh my God. And, to be honest, the Tina's father
Imagine
and
grandparents
all of them.
and
But the other
everyone
people
else.
that were sort of like, that would always be something that would terrify you. Every noise you heard, those girls, who had it, really the devil at their doorstep or in their walls, as it were. I noticed online they'd call him the boy in the wall. Yes.
More or less terrifying than the bloke who broke in and did the washing.
No, he wasn't scary. He wasn't scary.
I feel about the victims are about the same, yeah.
Every breath you take, every move you make, every bond you break, every step you take, I'll be watching you.
Yeah.
How scary is that song now when you think about that? And I've always thought of that as a fucking stalker song.
It is, yes.
All right, well, sorry to bring that onto your door, but...
Are you, though?
Anyway, you did bring us the...
Wow, I taught you about frogging.
The Polish chap first, so that was quite entertaining. And
Yeah. Go and check your crawl spaces, everyone, and if you have one, fill it up with expanding foam is my advice. And...
Particularly with him on the inside of it.
What are you doing?
Absolutely.
I'm filling up the crawl space.
Why have you got 12 cans of expanding foam? Because that's what it's going to take to fill up all of Tony's workspace so that no one can come and be a
Because
weird
Daniel
stalker.
LaPlant. That's why.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, thank you very much, guys. And as we say every week, miss you already.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Thanks for listening to Trial by Wine. You can contact us at trialbywine@gmail.com. Please rate, review and subscribe to Trial by Wine on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. If you'd like to support us, you can become a patron at www.patreon.com, Trial by Wine, or visit our website www.trialbywine.com to donate to us. Your support will help us cover many more cases and apply wacky sentences. We really appreciate you listening and hope you tell everyone about us. Our cover art is by John Christo and music is by Beauchamp from pixabay.com.